We got two more divisions. We're going to breeze through these a little bit because we are way over what we typically do, but we want to give you all the best NFL content we can. So we're going to breeze through these a little bit quicker, knowing that, where we want to get you guys to bed. It's the start of a work week, the start of a school week. So, by the way, my name is Chris. This is Scott. We're your host for the Action Lab. Thank you for being here. Hit that follow button if you have not already. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's break this down here. Scotty, you want to give this a big start here for the NFC South? Wherever you want to go.
Let's just start with the Bucs. 11.5. I'm going under. And I would have gone over like 2 days ago, Chris. I am going under based off of the weird press conference that Tom Brady just had.
It was strange.
It was super strange. Like, Tom Brady usually, even in press conferences, is laid back. He's sarcastic. He kind of jokes. It's light. It's whatever. And, obviously he was gone for several weeks from training camp. Everyone knows about that. He gets back and he's asked about it, and he's just kind of like, I'm 40 whatever years old he is. I don't know, 2 or whatever. He's like, shit's going on. And listen, I'm 37. Shit's going on, Chris. Shit's going on all the time in life. Okay? And I don't know if, yes, more shit could be going on at certain times, but like, this seems like a weird thing where like Brady's been able to eliminate or differentiate from his football career to his, private life and his kids and his family and his wife or whatever, positive or not. I mean, obviously it's been positive for his success overall, but this was a reaction I've never seen from Brady. I don't love that he was gone for a few weeks. I don't think he wanted to be in Tampa this year. It's just a weird dynamic with a new head coach. And I like the head coach actually a lot. So nothing against him. I thought he got a raw deal in New York when he was there, but with the Jets. Yeah. This team is an under. It's an under, Chris.
I was gonna go under as well, based off of the fact that this is an aging team. One, number two, you have all these distractions with Tom Brady. Now, you didn't have these distractions when they won the Super Bowl, right? They didn't have a lot of issues off the field. Now you're getting all these issues with Tom Brady, and like, is he doing Dancing with the Stars? Is he getting a divorce? Is he doing this, that? Like, this is what's saving him in this is the fact that the other teams in this division are kind of average at best. Like a New Orleans team.
No, this is the worst division outside of Tampa in football.
It's bad, right? It's not great. So you're kind of the guaranteed front runner, and you should win. I think there's going to be a lot of regression from what you typically see from a Tampa Bay Tom Brady team. There's just too much here. When there's smoke, there's fire. Reckoning in the chat, TB is over. The basis of who the hell could beat them. Take the under, says Real Soul. Yeah, I think the under is pretty safe here. I've seen a couple outlets say over. I don't see it. Let's go next to, where do you want to go? Let's go. What do
you choose your destiny, Chris? You talk about them.
Let's go ahead. Let's do New Orleans, maybe. All right, now New Orleans. Let me pull up a couple things on New Orleans here. So, New Orleans is an interesting team in the sense they got Michael Thomas back, they got Jameis Winston, they got a decent defense. They're sitting here at 8.5. Now, New Orleans for me is an interesting team. I honestly think that it's kind of a coin flip between the 8.5. If I'm a gambling man, which I am, this is a tough one for me because, like, you just don't know what you're getting with Jameis Winston. I think they get to 9 wins. I don't love it. I don't love it, though. I don't love it. It's not my favorite bet. I think this is a team that I think their defense can keep them in games. I think they're good enough offensively. Alvin Kamara is not going to get suspended in the first portion of the season. As long as they have him, as long as they have Michael Thomas, I think they have Olave on the outside as well. They drafted him. I think they have some weapons. I think they can get to 9 wins. I don't love it, though. This is a weird one for me.
I'm on the under. It's so bizarre to me. Everyone's looking at the Saints like, oh, this is a team that probably overachieves every year. Sure. But Peyton was like the coach all years but one when he got weirdly suspended for something that a lot of teams probably did. But regardless of that. So Peyton's gone. Peyton's so highly thought of, like he's pursued beyond belief. And you have Dennis Allen fill in. Your defensive coordinator. Like him as a defensive coordinator, but I do not like Dennis Allen as a head coach. I don't think he's a leader of men. I don't see... Yeah, I mean, the quarterback plays below average. You don't know what you're getting from the wide receiver core. It's a very much unknown between Michael Thomas. You drafted Chris Olave, who I like a lot, but like, I don't know if that's a right fit with the quarterback you have in Jameis Winston right now, who could get hurt at any second, by the way. But even if he's healthy, he's not great. He's bottom 10 to 12 in the league in my mind. I don't love this team. I like their defense a lot. But I think it's probably not as good of a defense as they had last year, and I think their offense is worse too. And then you lose at the coaching factor. So I'm taking under on New Orleans 8.5.
Okay. Carolina Panthers here, 6.5. Over under 6.5. I think quarterback is going to be an issue for me a little bit. I love Baker better than anything they've had recently, but I'm looking at their wide receivers and I'm not like 100% sold. Christian McCaffrey is a question mark whether or not he's going to play a full season. Because, I mean, if any setbacks happen whatsoever with Christian McCaffrey, I mean, look out. Fantasy owners are going to be raging, and I think it's going to be a rough go for Carolina. But I do think Baker gives them the best chance to win. We already had an injury with, what's his name? Sam Darnold. He's already had kind of a setback here. So there's nothing really here for me to... I like the fact that they got Baker, and I like the fact that they're moving forward with him. I just think I'm leaning under for the Carolina Panthers barely here at 6.5.
I'm shocked by that, Chris. I'm taking the over on this easily. This line was at 6. They added Mayfield. It went to 6.5. I think Darnold's so bad, and I think Mayfield's underrated. I think Mayfield is slept on because he played hurt last year. Again, Chris, I'll say it again. In week 1, Kansas City last year, week 1, played at home against the Cleveland Browns. Baker balled his mind out. Like he was more accurate than I've ever seen a passer. He has that in him to be really, really... I won't say he can be elite, but he can be above average, and he could be a huge upgrade over Sam Darnold. I think Carolina easily eclipses 6.5. You have a team. You say they don't have. You have McCaffrey coming back from injury. You have, DJ Moore, who's a number 1. Robbie Anderson on the other outside. To go with an offensive line that's okay, not great. Defensively, their number 1 pick got hurt at corner. J.C. Horn, I think it's J.C. Horn out of South Carolina, who was picked before your Jersey boy Pat Surtain as the number 1 corner last year in the draft. He got hurt early on and missed the rest of the season. They get him back. I just think this is an obvious over pick. I'm shocked you went under right there, Chris.
Yeah, I just there's a lot of wild cards with this team. That I mean, if McCaffrey stays healthy, maybe I feel like that it's kind of a bad pick for me. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me to like gamble on the Carolina Panthers over as opposed to the under. So I'll take the under.
I'll take it.
All right. And Atlanta Falcons, can I just say under? I don't even need to look at anything, really. I just think they're going to be not great.
I agree with you. I think they have...
I don't need to look at
borderline. You could rank them at 32nd in the league on offense and defense, and I wouldn't argue that hard. I think they're bad. I think they're going to be bad this year. I'll take the under on 5.
that was the quickest.
They're not getting to 6.
No,
they could push at 5. Best case scenario. They're under.
Scott, my boy over here, says real, loves it, and so does I believe Chairman and a couple other people. So everyone else is loving the over on Carolina. I don't know. I think, yeah, no, you already heard me. You already heard what I had to say.
Yep.
All right, last one. I think it's the last one, right? Yeah.
No, we covered all 4 of these. Oh, last division.
Last division. Yeah. Last division. Sure. And then we're gonna, last division. We're gonna wrap things up here after this one. So, Arizona, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle wrap up in the NFC West. Scotty, where do you want to go ahead and start here?
I don't know.
Do we want to start with the defending champs, Los Angeles Rams?
Sure. Let's go with the Rams. You want me to start?
Sure. Go ahead.
10.5 on the Rams. The Rams are interesting. Obviously, there's always some sort of lull once you won the Super Bowl. This is a team that hasn't always been in the mix for it. They're kind of new to it. A team running it back, but you have a quarterback that has reported elbow issues throughout preseason where, and he's been in the league for a long time. This was not, the Rams were Super Bowl champs, but they were not like some dominant, team last year where you were like, if you would have ranked the playoff teams going into the playoffs last year, they weren't in your top 4. They just weren't. Outside of that, whatever, but they weren't in your top 4. Maybe they got fortunate. Like, I don't think the Bengals were in the top 4. They got a favorable matchup. I think against a better team, they probably lose in that Super Bowl. 10.5. 10.5 is tough. Everyone's going to take the over. I'm going to take the over, though, Chris. I think they win 11 games. I think they go 11-6. This team's still really good. There's a lot of top-heavy talent. You had a first, quarterback coming into a system for the first time, and you won a Super Bowl with him. I don't think you're going to regress from that. I think you're going to only improve. Maybe people guard Cooper Kupp a little better. They did lose. Their wide receiver depth is taking a hit. Obviously, you had Robert Woods last year to start. He gets hurt. They fill in with OBJ, but that doesn't even, OBJ's now. I think he maybe re-signs at some point, but he tore his ACL in the late playoffs last year. So is he healthy this year? You lose Robert Woods. Outside of Cooper Kupp, you do Allen Robinson. I love a lot, so maybe he takes over. I don't know. I'm gonna go over because it's hard to not think they can't get to 11.
I would be shocked if they didn't get to 11. In my opinion, I think that they'll get there. I think that they filled in. When they lost Woods, they got Robinson. They got a nice defense. They still got Ramsey on the defense as well, Aaron Donald and some other pieces, Floyd. I don't think they'll have the same success as they had last year, but I do think they'll get to 11 wins, and I think they'll be good in a weak NFC. So from that standpoint, I'll like the over on 10.5 here. I think they'll get to 11 wins, but I think they'll get there. Seattle under, over 11-6. Agreed, Scotty. Rams have to rely more on defense again. NFC haters, says Milwaukee's.
I do not hate the NFC.
No, we don't.
I just think it's wild to objectively think coming into this season, the AFC is not better. The AFC has such better quarterback play, which makes them inherently better. It just does. The AFC is way better at the top than the NFC. This year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a no-brainer on that. 100%. Let's go ahead and break down the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals, we've talked a lot about fantasy when it comes to, just what their players, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, and some of these guys can do offensively, but can they get over 8.5 wins? I mean, which is, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be they're in a tough division in the NFC West. I think right now they're split even money, whether it's minus 110 over or under, whether you bet this. And it's weird because I think the Arizona Cardinals 2 years ago, remember, Scotty, I bet the Arizona Cardinals accidentally to make the playoffs, and they almost did, and I barely.
Great.
My goodness. And then last year they had high expectations and they kind of flopped, especially in the playoffs. They got outscored by 1 million. 8.5. I think as long as Kyler stays healthy, as long as they can get to the point where DeAndre Hopkins gets back and he's feeling good from his suspension, they have a decent team. I think they get to 9 wins. I lean over for the Cardinals. I don't know if it's enough to get them into the playoffs. We'll see. I mean, the NFC is weaker, but go ahead, Scotty. What do you think?
Well, I'm taking under. This has been an awful offseason for the Arizona Cardinals.
It has been.
You had your quarterback complain for no reason, and then you sign him to a deal that he didn't deserve. I don't believe that there's a great coaching staff there, and there's nothing to support that it is. Your offense and defense is, you're missing your top wide receiver, who's your biggest difference maker for the first 6 weeks. On defense, you're adding like old pieces, but like, are they great? Are you that good? I'm not sure. I don't believe in this team that much. I think they're closer to like a 7-10, 8-9 team. I think that's kind of who they always have been, and it just instantly happens well in the start of the season. I don't think they started off hot this season, Chris. I think this has been a really bad. There are like 3 teams that you could pinpoint and have had a bad camp. The Cardinals are, based off news coming out with your quarterback and other people, like they've had a really bad camp. It doesn't seem like people are on the same page. I don't trust their coach to be like a leader. Like their coach couldn't win half his games at Texas Tech almost. And then he gets a head coaching position in the NFL. And keep in mind, Chris, he had the great Patrick LeVon Mahomes for a stretch of that. So I don't know. I can't bet the over on the Cardinals. I'm so down on the Cardinals and so down on Kyler Murray. I can't possibly bet the over. That 8.5 is not a huge number for a team that I think most people expect to get over that, but I'm on the under there.
10 is a weird one for San Francisco. 10 is an interesting one, given the fact that the success they had last year. They had Jimmy G. I think Lance came in for a couple series here and there and helped
couple games.
Yeah. Couple games. And so, they still had success. I think I like Kyle Shanahan. I like what he brings. I think the San Francisco offense and defense, they didn't have, I feel, a lot of fall off here. I think 10 is right where their numbers should be, give or take. I think they can get to 10 wins for sure. I think this is like a push. I think I like them to go slightly over 10 here. I think I like them to win at least 11 games this season. I'll take the over on 10.
I mean, this is a wild card team. I like Shanahan a lot. I like the management. I like the roster. But you have Trey Lance, and we don't really know what to expect from Trey Lance. I think there's going to be some. I mean, I think we can all agree it's going to be inconsistent week to week. Like he'll have some weeks where he shows up and has some big plays. I think Trey Lance is very reliant on big plays. If he does not get big plays, he's not the consistent guy that can move the ball down the field. Like, I think Shanahan would almost want, which is why it was such a bizarre pick when they took him. This is a dude that's very much a boomer bust. I'm going to throw it down the field. I'm going to run. I'm going to get outside the pocket, but I'm not going to hit a guy in stride accurately time and time again in like a quick first read 5-yard slant. Like, that's just not who Trey Lance is. And for that reason, because I think it's a weird fit, I'm taking under on Niners 10.
Okay.
I think they could win 10 games. I think you're right. 10 obviously, that's why the number's there. 10 makes a lot of sense.
10 makes a lot of sense.
11 seems like a lot for a guy that he did play a couple times last year. Didn't play very well. And they're literally, I pay attention to their reports, and there are days where like you look at his numbers and it's like, holy shit, he's the real deal. And then the next day he will miss wide open guys, or he won't miss them, but it's like a, reliant to put it accurately to get run after catch, and he will throw it behind the guy where they have to stop or whatever. I just don't. Everyone hates on Jimmy G, but Jimmy G in his last 3 years, and one of the years he got hurt, so his last 2 years healthy, he went to a Super Bowl and he made an NFC Championship game. So like it or not, I think he's more reliable. I think he wins more games in the regular season. Maybe Trey Lance gives you a wild card in the playoffs where if he gets hot, he has more upside. He absolutely has more upside. But regular season, I don't really trust him.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to Seattle. Seattle. So Seattle is in an interesting spot. They're obviously trying to figure out after Russell Wilson whether they want Geno Smith or Drew Lock, and they've already made a choice. I mean, Geno Smith is kind of like all of a sudden, thrown out there for, we think we could win with Geno Smith week 1 against the Denver Broncos. 5.5 for Seattle. For me, 5.5. Man, I think this team's going to be a train wreck. Maybe they win 5 games. I don't in a good division right here with Arizona, LA, and San Francisco, and the rest of the NFC, maybe they can get a couple wins. I don't know. I think that their struggle back and forth between Geno Smith and the inconsistency going back and forth with Drew Lock and both those guys, I worry how much that's going to affect this team. They're just in a weird spot. I don't know if they're sold on Pete Carroll at this point. They might be moving on with him. And I think there's going to be distractions. I think the minute they start losing 2 or 3 games at the top of the season, they're going to be like, do we fire him? Change of pace? I say under for the Seattle. I know the odds right now say they can win more than 5.5 games. I know FanDuel -135 over 5.5. I don't see it, man. I'm going under.
I disagree. There's stuff in the chat, and you said it too, that Pete Carroll's on like the firing block. How? Why? I mean, you could argue why, but they literally chose Pete Carroll over Russell Wilson. That's just a fact. They had a decision to make,
and I think they made a wrong decision.
And that could be true, but they're not getting rid of Pete Carroll anytime soon. If you choose Pete Carroll over Russell Wilson, you're not getting rid of him a year later. You're just not. Right or wrong, you're not getting rid of him. I think Pete Carroll's a decent coach. Like, if this team legitimately was out there to try and win week to week, I would pick the over. Them taking Geno Smith easily or whatever it was, and whatever is happening there, I think they're throwing the season. I cannot trust this team. I don't think they're actually trying to win this year. And I agree with that mentality. I think they are making the right choice. Quite frankly, they have no business trying to win this year, whether it's with Geno Smith or Drew Lock. It doesn't matter. This team is going nowhere, and they're bad. So getting a new quarterback next year with a high pick is the right move. So throw this year. So in that sense, and based off of what I've seen and what I've reacted to, I'm taking under with you, not because I don't think they could win 6 games, but because I don't think they want to win 6 games.
Yeah. Well,
which is smart.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. They have 0 shot at making the playoffs as Mackey. Bro, they win 5 games. Let's get on with it. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Geno Smith really sucks. Pete Carroll's 100% gone after 2022, says Reckoning.
No chance Pete Carroll's gone after this year.
Either he gets fired or he retires after the season. You can argue what happens, but he's gone for sure.
They literally just had a decision to make, and they chose Pete Carroll over Russell Wilson. They're not firing Pete Carroll anytime soon. So unless he decides to leave, he's there for at least the next 3 years. Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, so there we go. Cool. So Geno Smith is not a starting quarterback. All right. So there you have it. That's it. So let's just there's the win totals there. If you want to go check those out, hit us up on the VOD and check those out if you want to. But we're all wrapped up with our picks for the over-unders of the NFL season. So we will see what ends up happening now.